It's a virtual session with Andrew Bird. My name is Sean McPherson from The Current, and this is a real treat. Generally, when I see Andrew Bird play live, I'm standing at the Palace Theater with another 3,500 people, and now I'm in a setting where we've been brought into an intimate place in Andrew's house to hear a couple tunes and talk a bit. I know it's not under the best circumstances, Andrew, but thank you for letting us into your house and sharing some time with you.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Excited to talk a little bit about what you've been up to and especially find out more about this tune you released that we're loving at The Current called Capital Crimes. But I'd love to just jump into some music first. So do you mind playing us a tune to get us started?
Yeah. This one's called The Near-Death Experience. Used to be like toffee in a kitten's teeth. Used to build air raid shelters out of sticks and leaves and spend the whole day underneath. Used to be like copper, pliable but strong. Used to smile and not say you're right. People lie when you know that everybody's wrong. Know that everybody's wrong. Know that everybody's. So you did the plane to crash, redeem the miles for cash when it starts to die. Then we'll dance like cancer survivors, drivers like we're grateful simply to be alive. Then the plane to crash, redeem the miles for cash. Then we'll dance like cancer survivors, drivers like the prognosis was that you should have died. There's nothing wrong when it starts to die. 'Cause we dance like cancer survivors, like we're grateful simply to be alive. No, there's nothing wrong when we start to die. Then we dance like cancer survivors, drivers like we're grateful simply to be alive.
Andrew, you pretty much have a whole string section in your bedroom with everything you got going technology wise. That song sounds incredible. I mean, I've been blown away by your violin playing for decades now, but it's pretty amazing to hear it so intimately. As you've been doing a little more intimate performing and playing, what are you finding out about being on your own in a musical setting?
Well, it's not an unfamiliar feeling, making music by myself. I mean, I spent years living in a barn in Western Illinois years ago. I mean, now I've got my family, and it's not quite as solitary and deeply lonely as it once was. But you know, it's. I mean, I've been since this whole thing started. I really become more disciplined and been doing a song every day, um, filming a song every day, and kind of digging back into my catalog. You know, I'm kind of realizing that I've got a lot of songs and that I haven't done for a long time. So it's just kind of plowing through my catalog and doing a song every day has been part of what's keeping me sane. And of course, except for a few moments where I have my family play with me, which is they're not too thrilled to be involved with. It's mostly just me doing what I do, which is making loops and you know, experimenting, and um, it's you know, it's I've been busy. I'll say that.
Well, busy is good, and if this moment right now is not the loneliest moment, if being in a barn in Western Illinois was more lonely, I guess then that's not bad if this is not the loneliest moment. So you're with your family, and I believe
Yeah.
you're out on the West Coast. Um,
Hmm.
you have made some really incredibly insightful tunes in your career, and a lot of folks are paying attention to this tune you recently released, and it's one of those songs where a lot of people thought he must have written this during this event, but I understand that you actually wrote this about the history of capital punishment, but that it's kind of taken on a little bit of a new meaning in this time. Um, Sometimes that's the role of a songwriter to not understand the full thrust of what a song could mean for a given moment. But can you tell me a little bit about the song Capital Crimes and how you connect it with what we're facing now?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it over the last few years. Specifically, it's a very specific song. I mean, usually I'm not quite this pointed in it as I don't have much of an agenda with a song as I do with this one. But I read an article about how they, for a while, they were using IQ tests to determine whether someone would be executed or not. So if you scored low enough, you wouldn't be executed, and if you scored 1 point higher than 70, you would be. And it was just the whole thing that was actually policy for a minute. They stopped doing it, but it would blew my mind. You know, it just highlights how absurd capital punishment is. That a government would take someone's life. So, but then this came out the same week, a few weeks ago, when people were talking about uh, you know, whether actually considering whether we would sacrifice a portion of the population, the most at risk, for the sake of the economy. And I thought, wow, it's kind of the same false choice kind of scenario, morally, um, morally debased kind of argument. And it really kind of spoke to that as well. And that's really what the song is about. I mean, the things that hold our society together are not often not laws. It's our human decency, and you know, if I let go of your hand, it would be murder, is the first line of the song. It's just someone's counting on you to protect them, and if you let go of their hand, you know, that's all it takes. Um, so it's funny. I didn't really think of it as a universal song. That's kind of why I didn't put it on the last record, because I didn't think it was universal enough. But then I guess I was wrong.
Well, I think maybe you were right because maybe we were lucky to get this song at this time. You know, it it
Right.
it it fits this moment in a pretty haunting way. Um, is that a song that you are able to play on your own, or is that more of an
Yeah, yeah.
ensemble piece?
No, I can do it. It started with this loop a long time ago. Here we go. If I let go of your hand, it would be murder. Standing backwards, blindfold at the top of the stairs. You may wonder if I had to shoot her. Yes, the birds were making figure eights all around the square. If I let go of your hand, straight from the laws of the land. Where's the shame? Where's the shame? Where's the sense of shame? Where's the shame? Where's the shame? Where's the sense of shame? Desert oceans keep on widening. It's been this way since the Pleistocene now. Where's the shame? Where's the shame? Where's the sense of shame? Where's the shame? Where's the shame? Where's the sense of shame? Where's the shame? Where's the shame? Where's the sense of shame? Desert oceans keep on widening. It's been this way since the Pleistocene. Capital crime, nickels and dimes all across the floor. Oh, oh. About signs, yeah, you scored too high, now you walk the floor. We'll be on that fatal shore.
Yeah, it's a powerful tune, and I think it would have sounded great on your record, but it does really do some powerful things at the moment we're in now, which is a powerful thing about music. And frankly, it's nice to be talking to you, to just be taking a break from thumbing through the news feed over and over again, and just to begin to hear a world-class musician playing. And I'm excited that you're dedicating yourself. You've been sharing a song a day on your social media channels, which has been really impressive to hear you explore that catalog. You mentioned that earlier. Um, how are you faring as a human being as you're navigating being a father, and being a musician, and a lot of the paths to income for musicians are on pause right now. How are you doing on that level as a person?
I feel pretty fortunate, that we're in a good position to kind of weather this for now. I mean, yeah, tours have been postponed and canceled, and there's so many unknowns. And for the first couple of weeks, there was intermittent feelings of dread and anxiety that have kind of calmed down, and I'm just kind of in a rhythm. And actually, I find life lately has been more manageable than it usually is, just because we're not going anywhere. I mean, I'm usually preparing to leave or re-entering. Coming. I'm either coming or going for the last 20 years, so it's kind of uh, nice to just stay put for a minute and to be with my family, uh, and also just the daily routine of making music and performing in the mornings, which is instead of the rock time. Um, it's been I honestly can't complain right now. It's I'm doing all right. Yeah.
That's good to hear, and I think it's a if there's silver linings in this thing, I think it's important to celebrate them. So I don't think there's a thing wrong with that. Um,
Yeah.
this being in your bedroom and hearing this music, this is not your first time bringing folks into pretty intimate spaces to talk about music. You've recently done a series where you've been having people into the great room and collaborating and talking about musical processes. Can you talk a little bit about this series and how you're connecting with other musicians and talking about collaboration?
Yeah, that was begun as a, I live here in LA, and the chances are someone's coming through LA uh, at some point, that I either know and appreciate or don't know, and this was kind of a way to collaborate with people and engage with people and explore, you know, uh, getting myself out of my own comfort zone, and so I would weekly, almost weekly, bring in someone that I admired to play sort of off the cuff and share each other's songs and play on each other's songs, and we just were using the phone as the broadcast signal, which was novel at the time. This is a few years ago now.
Hmm.
So I'm not one for social media. I don't actually have Instagram on any device, but I try to use it for good rather than evil, and you know, it's uh, it's a powerful tool, and it gets me. It creates a reason for me to get my musical fix. It creates some sort of ceremony, gets people to gather, if not in the same room together. They're still gathering, and it seems to have an effect on people. So it gives me gratification. So again, I don't see anything wrong with that. Um, but yeah, it was a really fun project. I'll probably try to kickstart it again at some point. But they're all up on YouTube now, and you can check out a good portion of them. But yeah, things like getting to spend the day with Jonathan Richman was like,
Yeah.
y- you know, I mean, or Fiona Apple and Zach Galifianakis, all these wonderful people, um, just coming into my living room and just hanging out and playing music, and yeah.
Well, I'm thankful to be coming into your living room and hearing you play some music in these circumstances. And I really appreciate you being so generous with your time. And you asked if you were doing a good or an evil thing. And I just want to say you are definitely in the category of doing good. I'm a father, and one of my wife's friends has a daughter who just flocks to your Tiny Desk concert and watches it every day. And it brings her so much joy. And there's stories like that all around the world of your music healing people and making people feel better in a hard time, including everybody who's watching now. So we are incredibly grateful for you and your music, and very thankful for you to take some time to be with the current. Do you feel like playing one more before we get out of here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I kind of started doing this old song of mine again. That was from that time when I was living out in the country and spending maybe a little too much time alone than what's healthy. And this is for everyone who's helped them maybe find the romance in being alone. This is called Lull. Being alone, it can be quite romantic, like Jacques Cousteau underneath the Atlantic. A fantastic voyage, 2 parts unknown, going to depths where the sun's never shone. And I fascinate myself, sure I do, when I'm alone. I go a little overboard, but hang on to the hull while I'm airbrushing fantasy out on a life that's really kinda dull. Oh, I'm in a lull. Oh, I'm in a lull. Oh, I'm in a lull. Well, I'm rambling on rather self-consciously while I'm stirring these condiments into my tea, and I think I'm so lame. I bet I think this song's about me, don't I? Don't I? Don't I? Don't I? Think I'm in a lull. I'm in a lull. I'm in a lull. I'm all for moderation, but sometimes it seems moderation itself is a kind of extreme. So I joined the congregation and I joined the softball team, and I went in for my confirmation where incense looks like steam. I start conjugating proverbs of once there were nouns, and so them rhyme schemes really starting to get me down.
Just one person clapping on video, but I'm sure an army of folks enjoying that music on our social media channels. Andrew Bird, thank you so much for joining the Current and chatting with us. And I'm so glad that you're making lemonade out of the situation and sharing songs every day and making more great music. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. Good to be here.
All right.